My ex-wife made up a whole life that never existed to manipulate me into getting married. This is rather long, so bear with me. Some PPL know most of this story, but almost no one knows the full thing but my ex and I. Not looking for advice, just wanted to get it off my chest in full. So me now F37 and my ex-wife now F36, met at a geek bar in the beginning of 2018. I moved from Georgia the end of 2017. And didn't have any local friends after the move. So I met her and her then girlfriend there, and we ended up being friends. There was a group of us. I would host parties and game nights, we'd all meet up at the bar and stuff. So I dated a guy for 2 years, he and I had a really nasty breakup. He stalked me for a year after. She was by that point my best friend. Then when I started dating again and seeing someone again after the stalker, she shot her shot. Basically told me she'd loved me for years. She has spent the last year spinning a tale about how her current girlfriend was abusive and awful. So she broke up with her and moved with me because she had no place else to go. Come to find out, all the bad stuff she said about said girlfriend wasn't true either. Around that time she introduced me in text chat to one of her longtime friends whom she'd mentioned on and off for a while. The friend and I really hit it off, friend-wise. She said all the right things, had similarly traumatic life experiences to bond over. She used the friend then friends to get info from me about herself and push and influence me to give a relationship with her a chance and see where it goes etc. She was the friend. At that beginning we were supposed to be poly. I was dating her and a guy. She used the friends to get info and manipulate me into getting married when COVID happened. One of the friends was a doctor and told horror stories about PPL without insurance, dying in hallways untreated, and how her mother is awful, she'll just unplug her. ECT. We couldn't just do a medical power of attorney because they'd done that one time and the mother fought it in court and won. And did what she wanted. So if I wanted her safe I had to go the extra mile and take away the option by being next of kin. At the time I loved her and she was my best friend. I couldn't imagine having my best friend suffocate and die in a hallway for something as simple as not having insurance. So even though I really didn't want to get married again, which she knew, I did it to make sure she was safe. She had made up people with whole lives, connections, Facebook profiles, experiences with these people. There were pictures of them from years back. Childhood stuff. Pictures of all of them together. I cared about them. Developed relationships, friendships with them. This went on for 2 years. They supposedly talked daily. On the phone and through video. But then every time I started to push to video chat or talk or visit, there were excuses and delays and stuff. When I pushed too much they started dying conveniently because of COVID. One from suicide after an agreement with me about giving up rights to my troubled, mentally ill child. Calling me a terrible mother and wife. I literally sobbed and grieved over people that never even existed. She also magically no longer wanted to be poly after we got married. It was a them or her choice. And at that point I didn't want to lose someone I loved and my best friend over a dude I'd been dating for a few weeks, so I ended it. I tried to express that I felt hurt and manipulated, and she faked a seizure which ended the conversation. And several others later. Anytime I said anything that upset her she'd fake a seizure, so I learned to walk on eggshells. I found out as her story continued to get more outlandish as time progressed and there was nothing to corroborate her story. I also snooped on her phone and found all the other profiles logged on. When confronted, the excuse was, oh, we're all logged into each other's in case someone gets locked out. That's the point I really started digging. The doctor didn't exist. Nowhere. The lawyer friend didn't either. Everyone I had supposedly spoke to had pictures of, there was not a shred of evidence of existence. I checked everything I could barring actually going there personally. Once I had all that information I confronted her and she's just admitted it. Said yup. I did that. But it was your fault cause I couldn't trust you cause one time while you and that guy you dated before me broke up you talked to someone else. So I didn't think I could trust you, so I lied to start, then I just didn't stop. She used it to traumatize and manipulate me the entire time before the confrontation. To gather information. To influence my thoughts and behavior. There were times I had to leave work early. Because of things that were supposedly happening. There were many medical emergencies that ended up being literally nothing. There were purchases made because she's had such a hard life and just deserves this. There were nights she kept me up all night over this insanity. There was a supposed inheritance coming that there were just continued complications over. There was even a fake teenage daughter. Who I agreed to take in that then also tragically died. She was an absolute nightmare. She'd also convinced me during this time to pull my kids out of in-person school and do virtual school. She would supervise. She didn't the first year, they both failed. She didn't drive. So all her medical appointments, and there were many I had to miss work. Missed work for emergencies that ended up being nothing. She was the stay-at-home partner, except I did all the chores. Cooking, cleaning, shopping, working, everything. She mostly laid in bed. I did nurse her through a back surgery during that time, which was her actual only medical thing that was truthful. There were entire weeks she would only leave the bed to use the restroom. She would scream at us to get her things from across the room a few feet away. She would decide she wanted something, a new vape, a Switch, a game, a PC. Accessories for the PC. New clothes. Expensive things. And if I said no, we can't afford that, she would cry or be manic about it until I just gave in to make it stop. She came to my home with 1 dog. Left with 4. During the entire time we were married, the longest she held a job was 2 months, the shortest was a week. She held maybe 4 jobs over the 3 years but was mainly unemployed. There were times between my 8 to 5 and my side hustle I worked 120 plus hours a week. I took loans and hardship withdrawals from my 401k to cover everything. Prior to her I had very limited debt and a credit score almost 800. My credit is now destroyed. And I almost lost my home. A few weeks after the confrontation, she had the audacity to say that I was being dramatic and it was time for me to just be over this already so things could go back to normal. I tried for a year after finding out to get over it and just couldn't. Everything I felt for her literally died. I finally asked for a divorce in October of 23A and she moved out a few weeks later. She continued to lie about the stupidest life stuff like job she didn't have, a new girlfriend, etc. while I played nice and amicable to get her to sign the papers. It took me threatening to take her to court for a contested divorce and all the marital debt plus filing fees and court costs to get her to sign 5 months later. She spent 1 month alone swearing she mailed it and had no idea where it had ended up. As soon as I got the papers back, I stopped speaking to her completely. It was the best thing I'd done for myself in years. Towards the end, she'd gotten so controlling I couldn't speak to anyone but her. I couldn't go anywhere but work without her. I couldn't sing or show any joy with getting yelled at. The first time I was able to go to the grocery store after work and not get yelled at, I cried. I'm now getting my life back on track financially. I've been in therapy. Lost 100 pounds. Work out regularly. Almost 2 years later I have an amazing partner. He treats me like a princess and is so kind, supportive and gentle. And I'm no longer living a nightmare.